Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set for Xbox to have their next big next-gen launch. We have all of the details. The game of chicken is finally over, and it seems like Xbox won or lost. I kind of don't know how chicken works. Who wins? The one that moves first? Probably, because they're still alive, hypothetically, I think. Doesn't matter. Regardless, Series X, $500. Series S, $300. Release date November 20th. Pre-order start September 22nd. All access, Game Pass, a bunch of stuff that is hypothetically super cool. And clearly Xbox does some things that I'm not a fan of, right? I would love it if they had exclusive games for their brand new consoles that cost a whole bunch of money, right? Even the Series S, which is a fantastic value. We'll get into the value of that in a little bit. Even that, hey, $300 is still quite a bit. I kind of wish that there was games that I could play only there. And for me, that's Xbox's biggest problem, but a lot of people would probably say that that's the thing that they have going for them the most. But before we get into all of that, I just want to remind you to make sure to follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/HereBeGabe OMG. We stream there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Follow me on Twitter for updates on the schedules and stuff like that. But hey, Xbox is ready. Let's talk about their next-gen plans, and that includes a pretty clear look at what the launch games are. Value, 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 value. That seems to be the name of the game for Xbox. PlayStation is having a little bit more of a traditional next-gen launch where they have exclusive games. Some exclusive games I'm really excited for, but Xbox is trying to make it as easy as possible to get in on their platforms. If you want the highest end stuff, cool, go grab Series X. But if not, save a couple $100 and get the smallest console ever that will still do 1440p 60 up to 120. I don't quite know what they mean by that, but it's up to 120. You can still stream stuff in 4K, 4 teraflops. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more underpowered than the Xbox One X, but it does have the new hardware in there, including the SSD. You're still gonna have the fast load times. You're still gonna have all of that with the Series X, and I agree that the value here is tremendous. It's fantastic value if you are on a super tight budget and you still kind of want next-gen experiences, even though they're not full next-gen experiences. This is a perfect console. I think for right now, this might be the sweet spot. 1440p is probably where the games are going to run the best. I much rather have a 1440p game running at 120 FPS than a 4K game running at 60, but that's just me. Your mileage may vary when it comes to that. But outside of the price, right, and that being very affordable, we have what for me is the Trojan horse, and maybe people don't think it's that big a deal because they've done it in the past. It's not exactly new, but All Access, Xbox All Access seems like that's going to be a pretty sweet deal. No cost up front. That's very important, right? So if you don't have the money to, shell out hundreds of dollars right away, you don't have to. Xbox Series S, $24.99. And for those of you that are unaware, All Access includes the console. You don't have to buy it. You're paying per month. It includes Xbox Live Gold, and it includes Game Pass Ultimate, which will also at some point include EA Play. The value there is the most insane value we've ever seen in gaming. Back in the day, a couple generations ago, right? The orange box was the most value we've ever seen in games, right? Back then. Now we have things like Game Pass that have just absolutely demolished that. We get hundreds of games available. And yeah, a lot of the games are older, and I much rather have a couple new games and a whole bunch of old games that I can already play elsewhere. But this is what they're going with. And obviously that also gets you the games on PC. And, I've always been clear that if you have a PC, you have a good PC, you have no reason to own an Xbox. But I can see why this is something that's very, very attractive, super attractive, honestly. Xbox Series X is $34.99 a month for 24 months for All Access. That's also really, really fair. You do end up paying more for the consoles this way, but you're financing. It's what it is. And if you are the type that you can swallow maybe paying $25, $35 a month instead of, 500 or 300 plus games a month, it's a really good deal. And now there are more participating retailers, right? We before you had to go through Microsoft to get it. Now it's at Best Buy, GameStop, Target, Microsoft Store, and Walmart. All the big chains have it. Not Amazon, so, you know, whatever for that. And it's coming to more countries: Australia, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, South Korea, Sweden, UK. It's going to be available everywhere. And I have a feeling that this is going to be the way that a lot of people get their Xbox consoles. If I get an Xbox console at all, because like I said, PC, you can play pretty much everything that comes to Xbox. They're exclusives. You can do it on PC. If for some reason I feel like I need a console, this is probably something that's much more viable for me, as opposed to paying the entire cost up front. So I feel like that right there is gonna sell a lot of consoles. It's a service that is making it easier for people to get the cool new thing instead of a game. And make of that what you will. Like I said, I much rather have them have new games, but that's an entirely different conversation altogether. Very quickly, I do want to mention that at first I thought the Series S looked like ugly and dumb, and why is the vent thing like a different color? I think it looks way better if it's all white or all black, but it's kind of grown on me. I kind of like it, to be honest. I just want to throw that out there. It feels like there used to be a console war, and that isn't the thing anymore, because it seems like all three players are doing something completely different. Switch and Nintendo are doing what they do, and they're doing it masterfully. PlayStation is doing the more traditional stuff, and that's kind of the route that I prefer. I still prefer what PlayStation is doing. But then Xbox is diving into this new business model. It's not new, really. The Netflix business model, where they give you as much as possible for as little money as possible, and then they bump up the price a little bit. And we've already begun to see that, because the price for Xbox Game Pass on PC is doubling. They just announced that. And that's the Netflix business model. Get in super cheap, get people to like your product and your service so much that they can't live without it because they're so used to it, and then bump the price up. Netflix has bumped the price up like 4 times already. And I kind of feel like that's what Xbox is doing. They just lack the exclusive games. I would say that Xbox would be absolutely killing it if they had some big exclusives. Halo missing the launch window is a bummer, but even if it had hit, I would still be kind of disappointed. We have a lot of awesome stuff coming from PlayStation. Dark Souls Remake, we have Ratchet and Clank, we have a brand new Spider-Man game, and a lot of other stuff that will only be available on PlayStation. And to me, there is still something to that. Look, to be honest, I still don't understand Xbox's, hey, you don't have to buy a console philosophy. I think not putting any exclusive games on it for 2 years is silly, and it's gonna backfire. I feel like they might even backtrack on that. Microsoft has a history on backtracking on things, so it wouldn't surprise me. One of the last things I'll touch on here is that Xbox really seemed to turn the tide on what their overall reception has been for all of this, because people were just like kind of like pissed at them. People were not happy, kind of. I'm on the Xbox subreddit, right? And people there were just really not having a good time. And then Series S gets announced, and all the details come out, and there has been a complete turnaround. People went from being unhappy to just super hyped because of the low price point, and low price point just seems to be the most important thing for them. And, you know, sheer value with all these games. So, you know, good on Xbox for turning it all around. That is something that must be applauded. It must, because that's not easy to do. And they have figured out a way to do it. Okay, now the final thing I want to talk about here is the launch games. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Destiny 2, Beyond Light, representing third party in a big way. I haven't liked Assassin's Creed in a bit, but I'm interested to see how this one goes. And Destiny is one that I really, really want to get into. It's just been so long since I haven't played. Dirt 5, even though that recently got pushed, that's happening. Gears Tactics for the consoles, that's been out on PC for a minute. Tetris Effect, I don't care about Tetris. Watch Dogs Legion, a game I really don't care about, and I know some people are excited for. And Yakuza Like a Dragon, probably like their coolest launch games, but it's a weak launch lineup. I know the Medium is still happening, but that's like a smaller like indie game. It's a sorry lineup. Like that's just my feelings on it. I'm sure some of those games are going to be of like great quality, like cool, especially Destiny, right? And maybe Assassin's Creed is awesome. I have no idea. I haven't played it, and I'm not really impressed with what I've seen of the game, but maybe it'll surprise us. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, let's give this a chance to surprise us. And bare minimum, you're going to have a powerful new box to play all the third-party games in because Xbox refuses to make anything exclusive. I will say that this is like one of the weaker launch lineups that I can ever remember. I know like back in the day, right? You know, Nintendo 64 launching with just a couple games, the Switch launch lineup maybe wasn't like the best ever, but this one for me, it's third-party stuff that you can play elsewhere, and Tetris and Yakuza. Yakuza's cool. Yakuza is very cool. I'm not super into the franchise, but I know people love it and people are very excited for this one. So yeah, weak launch lineup, good price, good value. That's kind of what it is with Xbox. And now we just wait to see what PlayStation has to say because we know what their consoles are, but we don't know anything about price. And I think it's going to be like very, very similar. I think that it'll also be 500. We don't have a release date. We have everything we need to know about Xbox. We know it's time for PlayStation. We're waiting. And here we will be to talk about it when it happens. Thank you guys for watching. How do you feel about Xbox's lineup and launch plans for Series X? I went from having zero interest in ever getting one of these things because, hey, PC. But if I can get a Series S for $300 and pay $25 a month, for me, that's something that's like way more doable for someone like me. PlayStation 5 day one purchase for me. PC upgrades, hey, 3080 is coming soon, but yeah, it's still totally unnecessary. I don't need to get it like launch day or anything. I'm not like that excited for it, but I'm happy to see that people are once again on the side of Xbox. I think Xbox being around is good. Competition is good. We can't have them just go away and die and then just have PlayStation. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Twitch, link in the description. You guys are fantastic. Check me out in my other videos. I have a video all about my thoughts on Avengers, the pros and cons of that game, if you're somehow still interested in that, even though, you know, it's been a little while now. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.